Greater Good Radio. Connect, learn, heal, and grow.
I remember my first day of work at St. Louis, and the CFO said, I quit and we don't have enough money for the next payroll. So that was my first day of work. And so it was a challenge right there. The person was exaggerating, of course, in that bad of shape.
So they waited till your first day to quit?
Yeah.
And were they vying for the same spot?
Not that person, no. But there were other people that were, had tried for the position. But I got in, and I will tell you, it's not unusual. A lot of schools in Hawaii are struggling, a lot of private schools. And at the time, the schools kind of will struggle and they get better, and they struggle and they get better. But for me, going in there as a non-St. Louis graduate, having to immediately cut about $500,000 from the budget in about 2 weeks, it doesn't bode well, for an outsider to come in and make those kind of moves.
Because the $500,000 were primarily layoffs, or no?
Layoffs primarily, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so as a leader, you're coming in, and the last thing I ever want to do is let someone go. But it became the difference between having the school at all and saving the jobs that we currently had, or having to make those moves there. So
like an amputation.
In some ways, yes, but I knew it was only temporary.
Yeah.
Because if we could get back on our feet, then we'd be able to ride through. And schools go through these, so it's not unusual that St. Louis was going through that at that time. We all go through our peaks and valleys financially, but we were not in good shape, and not the fault of anyone in particular. It was just the way it is. Catholic schools have been run by priests and brothers that work at no cost. They basically were volunteering their time. And the land, in most cases, was either purchased a long time ago for a good price or given to a particular order that runs the school. So with Catholic schools, they were able for many years to keep tuition at a low rate. And that was fine, especially when there were a lot of Catholics out there. But today, the Catholic population is falling. There aren't priests and brothers out there that are available to work in the schools. So for the most part, you bring in these lay people, they need benefits, they need competitive working salaries. And then the product of that is that tuition goes up. And then you can't serve the same population of people that you always did. And the people that do want to attend your school can't afford to go there. So that kind of has been happening in all of our Catholic schools in Hawaii. And that is why in the last 20 years, we've seen about 10 schools that have closed, from St. Anne's to St. Francis to Our Lady of Perpetual Help. I mean, you can go down the list. Cathedral, there are a lot of them out there. And not because anyone was doing anything wrong. It's just because the system itself just didn't work anymore. And so it did take someone like myself and then a group of board members that we worked closely together to kind of really think outside the box and try to find ways to be able to help the school survive. So today we're out of debt. We've gotten rid of that debt. And our enrollment has almost doubled from what it was when I started. And we're in really good shape. But at the same time, we could turn the other way very quickly too. You never know what happens in the future. But we made a nice turnaround, in part because I was willing to make the tough decisions. And I think in Hawaii, we're so close. We're so close. Everybody knows everybody, that it's tough to make decisions, the kind of decisions that I made.
You mean to lay people off?
To lay people off, to cut certain programs, to outsource programs. A lot of things that we did to be able to get in good financial health. But it is what it took for us to get back on our feet again. And I have no regrets making those decisions, because I do believe that one of the things people say all the time, that one of my good friends who was on our board, actually, he was the president of St. Francis Healthcare System. He unfortunately passed away. He's a St. Louis graduate, but he would always tell me, he said, Glenn, you have to find that balance between mission and margin. So that mission is important, and you never want to forget that. And you want to keep laser focused on that. But you also have to take a look at the margin part. You can't have the mission without the margin. And if you're focused too much on the margin, then you're going to lose also, because you have to keep your eye on that mission.
It sounds like you had to come into like a distressed debt situation. Like in corporate America, that's basically, you have a company that's in trouble, and you almost, they send in a fixer to an extent, right?
Yeah, pretty much that's what I was. Someone from the outside who would come in. It would have been very difficult, I think, for a St. Louis graduate with all the relationships they had to be able to do something like that. Not to say that it couldn't be done. But a lot of it had to do with the people. At St. Louis School, there are a lot of people who bleed. We say bleed in red and blue. They're very passionate about the school. And there is no way I could have done what was done as a leader of the school without those individuals. People like Walter Dodds, people like Tony Guerrero, who unfortunately passed away, people like Dwight Otani. These are people that bleed red and blue that were there making sure that the school stayed afloat. And those are the real heroes. I was just kind of there to kind of orchestrate things and make some tough decisions. Mm-hmm. But those people behind the scenes are the ones that really made it happen.
If you resonate with Greater Good Radio, please join our community at www.greatergoodradio.com, where you can get access to exclusive content and offerings. Hope to see you soon.